Over the years, we've seen many health trackers that are available for us to use. We have from fitness trackers that are basically smaller watches that provide us basically fitness focused or fitness centric experiences. And of course, we now also have watches that provide us very similar experience, although more of a well-rounded smartwatch as well as a fitness tracker in one solution. But one of the biggest things that always kind of hindered my experience of using these is not necessarily the fact that I couldn't use them, but the fact that I couldn't use them at night comfortably. This is where it became very easy for me to start looking into wearables like rings. And I've used different ones in the past, but the really nice thing, or some of the options that we see here with the RingConn 2 generation that we have right now, is that not only does it have a longer battery life, it's smaller, it's thinner, and it has a solution that also provides us the ability of recharging our ring without having to remember an adapter. It actually all comes in its own case, and it lets us go for a very long time. So this is TK, and this is my review of the RingConn 2 smart ring that provides us the ability of getting smart health tracking as well as sleep apnea tracking, or of course detection using the actual application as well as the ring. Let's go ahead and check it out and see all of the cool things that this ring can offer us. Like and subscribe, and make sure you hit that bell icon so that you're always notified to whenever we have new videos for you on the channel. Now, as far as the box itself, it's pretty straightforward. We have just right here, I hope you guys can see that, it says RingConn on the side, and there's 4 colors available. As you can notice right there, I went with the black one, so that's the configuration I went. There you can go with silver, gold, or even more of a bronze color. And of course, make sure you get your ring size measured correctly at either a jewelry store or if you have a ring kit, to make sure to order the right size. And one thing to mention, the battery life is rated to go from 10 to 12 days. And it does actually say depending on the ring size, because the larger the ring, obviously the bigger the battery that they're able to put in there. But regardless of which one you go with, they actually have a very long battery life. By comparison, one of the lightest options available right now, also the ability of recharging them with the case, makes them last even longer than anybody else or any other options on the market. Now, when you open it up, it's pretty straightforward. The ring is present right here on the left. There is some instruction manuals here to provide you how to set it up and how to use it, although I'll say that it's super simple. There is the charging case. This one is also included in the box, and this has a built-in battery and of course the connectors on the bottom to charge it. There's an LED light present on the front here to show us that it's either fully charged or if it's slow, and it's charged using the USB-C and the option in the back, so that you can take it with you and charge up the ring whenever you're on the go. Take the ring, put it down, and it's easy. It automatically fits in only one configuration, as there's 2 little grooves here, the sensor options, as well as the 2 little pin connectors on the bottom. Once you have it there, it's very nice. Blue means it's actually going to be charging it, and it recharges in about 89 minutes from 0 to 100. And I did actually test this out, where I got it down to about 1% after 11 days of usage, and it did take, and then one of the things I really like about it is it's pretty accurate about telling us when you need to do certain things, especially recharging, but also the predictability of when it thought that the battery was going to run out. That was actually very nice directly, as I'm showing you guys a quick snippet here as it was giving me the notification there. Last but not least, they do include a USB-C cable here to be able to use it to be able to charge it up, although this is going to connect to almost anything that you have as far as a USB-C cable. So if you have a phone charger, this is going to work just fine. If you want to charge it from your PC, just connect it and run it. But the battery in here that basically is rated with the full charge battery on the actual case to last us over 100 hours with the ring. So it's not going to be needed. You're not going to have to charge this every month. You're probably going to have to do it literally every maybe 2 to 3 months, depending on your usage. The configuration is pretty straightforward. And what I mean by this is, you'll notice right here on the ring itself, there's these 2 little ridges here that provide you the kind of a guideline to know exactly where to put the ring. So those are supposed to be on the bottom part of your finger. So I'm using my ring finger. I'm using this actually as a replacement for my ring, so it looks really nice. And what I like about it is that it fits very nicely. It's thin and it's light. I almost don't feel like it's on. And I'm actually coming from using another option that was another competitor on the market right now, as you could see, that is actually a lot larger and a lot bigger. So when I'm wearing something like this, I can put the ring on. It actually feels like I'm wearing it, and it actually doesn't, like, you know, when you're holding it, you know, you can feel it where it's sitting there. And what I ended up doing after a while is actually just putting it on my thumb, as it actually also works the way you want it. A lot of people like to use it on their index finger. That's personally a personal choice, but I found that as long as you remember where the grooves are on the bottom, as those are where the sensors are, it's pretty straightforward to put it on and to wear it. And the battery life has absolutely been astonishing. I've been using it for the last 3 weeks, and I've only had to charge it twice. And I'll explain to you guys about one of the reasons why the initial run that I got on this was only lasting about 5 days, but the second run went up all the way to 11 days. Just for size comparison, again, to one of the other options available on the market right now, it's much smaller and a lot thinner, as you can see with the configuration. And the battery life on the Ring on this here is rated to basically run about 4 days. This one, again, up to 12 days. And the size ring that I'm using here is size 12, so just kind of an experience. Again, my fingers are a lot bigger, but your personal experience may be a little bit different on the size, but make sure you get the right size for you and the finger that you're going to be wearing it on, and you shouldn't be disappointed. As we look closer, those are the 2 charging pin connectors on the bottom. We have LED lights on the sides here, 2 green ones and a red one to be able to do the sensors. And again, these 2 guides provide us not only the right way to hold it, wear it, as well as actually put it in the case. So this is actually works very nicely and very simply. And when I'm wearing it, it just fits at the bottom here and it looks really nice. Very simple, very easy. Now, as you can imagine, this does have an application, of course. You'll be able to track and see all the information that you have. Now, overall, what you see here, it tracks sleep mode, similar to what we've seen before. My score last night was 83, and step counting as well as calories burned. Also heart rate, it keeps that heart rate measurement all day long. You can see the trends. You can also see it as historical information when you jump into the calendar. So what you see here, obviously, is the 1st of September, but if we go into August, you'll see all of those were running on basically the first 5 days that we had got here all the way up to basically the 20th. Let's go back into the calendar. Was actually running on a first single charge, and I did run a couple of basically sleep apnea tests. If you are going to use the sleep apnea function, just be aware that the battery will drain faster, as it's actually actively monitoring for the sleep apnea function more consistently, and it needs a minimum of 3 hours of sleep time to be able to do the detection correctly. What you're looking here is I recharged my device up to the 20th, and then I took it all the way down to the 30th, and that was literally one of the longest battery experience I've seen in any kind of Ring or wearable that we have in here. Keep in mind that my watch does some functionalities, but I don't sleep with my watch. This is a little bit cumbersome to sleep with, to track. This is much easier because I'm used to wearing a Ring. All the information, you're able to jump to a specific day that you want, or of course you could just scroll all the way at the top. Scrolling down here from sleep options, and of course there's additional notifications in here, goals, information, view more options. And what I really like about it is, let's say I click the button at the top here. You can see first and foremost, the percentage of the battery of the Ring itself. And it says you have basically remaining 9 days and 17 hours. And it is pretty accurate. And of course, the Ring settings tool provides us the ability of unpairing it from our account. It does provide us, again, the size of the Ring, and of course, generation 2, that's the model, and a firmware that I'm running on it. I did receive 3 software updates on this that provided some optimizations and some corrections or fixes into some of the concerns I was using. The LED color guide here, you're able to jump into that, and it'll give you a reference information as to what the colors are on the LEDs so that you understand what's going on. For the most part, you really don't see them ever. The only time I've ever noticed them is at night when it's really, really dark and I happen to turn my hand. You'll see a little bit of lighting here, but it's not bright enough to to do anything. But other than that, it's pretty straightforward. It does the job and it does it very nicely. You're able to initiate activities, and you're also able to see trends. Now, one of the things I wanted to do is build enough data in it so that it's able to give me some trends. So sleep pattern basically says recently within the last 7 days, I've slept 7.8 hours. That's the average. Stress level is about 50, depending on how you look at it. As I'm getting closer to an event, it gets a little bit more stressful. Last but not least, 74 on this activity score. The vital score is 79, and of course, no notes added. I did not add any additional ones. And of course, as far as favorites, you're able to customize it. But really, the biggest thing about this is that this actually has sleep apnea functionality. And this is something that almost no other wearable Ring has on the option right now. And it does require a little bit of different approach. A, you need to sleep at least 3 hours. B, you need to have the phone that you're using, obviously that it's paired to it, with you next to you, and you actually click that and you say start monitoring. Now, this is where the battery life drops a little bit different from that 10 to 12 days that we were talking about. If you use the sleep apnea monitoring, that does actually decrease the battery to about 5 days if you use it consistently. If you're not using it consistently, you do it once every while, it will reduce that experience, so just be aware. But once you start that on, it turns on, and it says every breath you take is under our care, and it sits and it starts measuring, and there's a counter here. It does basically say that you do need to about 3 hours. If you try to end it before then, it'll give you the say basically, you need a minimum of 3 hours. Do you want to end it or you want to continue? I'm ending it here. Obviously, we're not going to actually do a measurement there. But in both the configurations that I ran on this, there was no sleep apnea basically detected, and it's supposed to be accurate at up to 90%. I'm a firm believer that tech needs to help us and not stand in our way. I love the fact of the earlier generation Ring that I was using, and it worked quite well for me initially. But over time, I started recognizing that the battery life on the Ring was becoming a bit of an issue for me. And where it became the biggest concern for me is when I was on a family trip with the family and I forgot the charger. This is where it becomes a little bit weird when you have a charger that's literally a small puck. The ring itself needed to be connected into a power source and charged up. And again, initially that's not an issue if I'm home, but if I'm traveling and I'm not home, it's not easily replaceable. The case that comes with the battery here for the RingConn 2 provide us the ability of actually charging it on the go. So you just need to leave that in your backpack and you never have to worry about a power source. The battery is built into the case. And that's one of the nice things. Again, if you're charging it every once in a while, you don't have to wait the 89 minutes. For me, I woke up in the morning the next day, I plugged it in or I put it in the case, I left it. By the time I was ready to finish up everything, it actually gave me enough of a charge to keep going. And then I charged it up to 100% that evening. So for the most part, that's the really simple function. You just charge it up and let it do its thing. And again, it gives you information on what it's predicting, what it's able to see. If you want to initiate a measurement, jump into the heart rate measurement, basically check that out there. Stress level, all of those are going to be really nice. And it works in the background. For me, replacing my wedding ring was actually a simple solution because for me, that's literally the ring that I always wore. And for me, it's not an issue having something on me all the time. While wearing a watch when I'm sleeping, it's a little bit more cumbersome because it tends to kind of tangle and it just feels like an extra weight when I'm sleeping. So for me, from a comfort standpoint, I find that the ring does the job much better. I do have information coming in from the watch, but for the most part, since I started using tracking rings or health rings like these, I've been using them exclusively for my health and information because it's just easier and it keeps everything aggregated correctly in one place. RingConn does actually connect directly to Google Fit, so if you like to use that, this does have a connection option. It's directly within the settings app. You connect it, log in with your account, and it'll sync up your data directly. Also, the really nice things for me is I actually, in the middle of testing this out, I switched from an S24 Ultra over to the Pixel 9 Pro XL. And what I liked about it is all my data was synced up to the cloud with the original device. And once I connected my ring to the new device, all that data transferred over correctly and it was still stored. So I didn't lose a single day of information, which is very nice. And I always worry when I'm syncing up my watch, going from one device to the other, if it doesn't sync it up to the cloud correctly, I may end up losing some content. And I typically have to reset the watch. The last thing as far as software update, you don't have to put it back in the actual case. If you're wearing the ring and you have enough power as far as the charge on the ring, you just have to be within a proximity directly of the device that you're using, the one you pair it with, and it works very nicely. So overall, that's just going to give you a very nice, very seamless experience. And I feel like that's the beauty of what this type of tech does. It literally blends into the background, but it's still running for you and it does it in a nice way. And the fact that it runs all the way up to almost between 10 to 12 days is absolutely fantastic for me because I have an event coming up in the next few days where I have to be gone for literally a whole week. I don't have to worry about bringing the charger. And if I do really am a little bit antsy, I can bring it with me and it's easy to carry and I don't have to worry about plugging it in somewhere. Forgetting the charger with me for the ring on my trip obviously was a fault on my side. But it made it to a point where I felt like, okay, I can't use the ring. All my data for those days are going to be gone. Ended up relying on my watch a little bit more. And that's one of the things you want to keep in mind. Long battery life is always a nice thing to have. So I can charge it up, not have to worry about the charging option, and I'll be back in a week or so and not have to worry about it. As opposed to where with the other one, every 4 days, it's on the clock. You have to charge it. Otherwise, you won't have any more data to be able to track with it. So I do want to say thank you very much to the team over at RingConn for sending me over the RingConn Gen 2. This is my first time working with them, and I'm very pleased to see what they've improved, what they've offered, the lightness, the size, the quality, the performance, the tracking. All of it is on point and definitely setting a new standard for when it comes to smart rings in the market. And of course, to top it off, it does sleep apnea tracking, which is something that we don't see on many other devices. It does use the smartphone as a functional option with the ring tracking at the same time. And I think that's the smart way to make our devices be better and do more for us on the go without, again, staying in our way. Like and subscribe as usual. Thank you very much for the support. And as usual, I will see you in the next video.